Tsunami, which struck on December 26, 2004, severely affected the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Indian coastland of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Pondicherry. The worst affected were the marine and the inland fishing community, the salt pan workers and small and marginal farmers. In this backdrop, relief and rehabilitation programs were designed under the Tsunami Response Program of CARE. While implementing Tsunami Response Program in the affected coastal areas of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, CARE through its past experiences envisaged education as a pivotal tool to enhance accessibility of its target communities, especially women, to knowledge and resources. Education for Livelihoods (E4L) is a functional adult literacy program that envisaged vulnerable women's empowerment through its components of literacy, numeracy and application of learned skills through its projects. By empowerment, we mean enhancement of livelihood performance, better quality of living, and access to information and services as per their rights and entitlements.
Well, this was a very important project for us, Education for Livelihoods. As the name suggests, this is purely to make sure that women who are part of our livelihoods project are supported by this component. And in the early days of Tsunami work on livelihoods, we realized that this is very important that we work with these women on education to make sure that they are supported in their livelihoods. And through our micro projects, our own analysis said that this is important, and therefore we actually started this. And like I said, because it is primarily for livelihoods, we didn't want to run this project purely from an adult literacy point of view. But we wanted to make sure that it has components that will help women to grow and do well in the livelihoods bits that they are doing. It had components of literacy, it had components of numeracy, and it had components of legal rights and entitlement. This project actually we undertook to support our own participants of livelihoods projects.
There are 3 specific objectives for E4L. 1. To impart and improve functional literacy and numeracy skills. 2. To provide learning experiences which promote better livelihood preparedness. And 3. To promote awareness on rights and entitlements. And the long-term objectives are equity in education and equity through education. Learning centers are the platform to connect community and the E4L project. Learning centers are identified in the central locations of the village where learners can feel comfortable to visit in the evenings or even nights. E4L doesn't emphasize on uniform center timings. Timings keeps in account work pattern, household chores and convenience of the learners. Mostly, learning centers are community contribution.
In Kadalur, we have come after tsunami in 2005, and we decided to work among the tsunami affected people and very especially poorest of the poor in this place. So then as we have been working And we also thought what else we could do for the women. Women, especially SHGs. SHGs have they got lot of money and they had a lot of activities, but they don't know how to use it. And while talking with Care India, and Care India came forward, and we learned that they are willing to help us to take up this education for livelihood, which will help the women to function effectively in their SHGs and in their livelihood programs. So we thought it would be a very good opportunity to join as a partner NGO with the Care, and we have learned a lot working with a partner NGO. A lot of training has been given to all level from top to down, and in the past 3 years we have been working. Altogether we have covered up 900 women in 30 villages, and I can say that it was very good program, and we could really help the women to function effectively. We cannot say 100%, but definitely there is a lot of effect in the life of the women around. And they are also have taken up in the impact of the program. They have taken up livelihood activities now, and we see the result, how they are functioning, how whatever they have learned had been used by them.
Village Advisory Committee is formed in each village to leverage local support and cooperation from the community to run the program smoothly with the sense of partnership with the community.
எங்கள் ஊரில் வாழ்வாதார கல்வி திட்டம் நடந்துகிட்டு இருக்கு. அதில் 30 பெண்கள் படிச்சுக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இந்த கற்றுக்கிற விஷயம் அவங்க குடும்பத்துக்கும் அவங்க தொழிலுக்கும் ரொம்ப பயன்படுது. எங்களுக்கு எனக்கு நேரம் கிடைக்குது அப்பப்போ அந்த மையத்தை பார்வையிட்டு பிரச்சனை ஏதாவது நடந்தாலும் கிட்ட இருந்து அதெல்லாம் கரெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டு வராங்க. இந்த நல்ல திட்டத்தை கொண்டு வந்த நிறுவனத்துக்கு எங்களோட நன்றி.
The program is implemented by partner NGOs with local presence with the financial and technical support from Care. Teaching Learning Materials TLM developed contextually after understanding the local needs resources. We have developed E4L TLM along with a few community representatives, partner NGO representatives and sector experts. These are very simple materials such as action pictures, funny pictures, library books, discussion topics, play materials, display charts, etc. The Learning Center functions for 3 hours a day, 2 hours of classroom session for enrolled learners and an hour of community time wherein community has access to Learning Center and its resources. Even a facilitator would be there at the center during community hour. The materials at centers like newspapers, library books, outputs of learning processes, play materials, musical instruments, information charts, etc. are made accessible to the community during this hour. Facilitators are women who are recruited from the same village where centers are established and they have minimum qualification of 10th standard. We give them periodic phase-wise training on methodologies and curriculum of E4L with both lectures and demonstrations.
సమస్త వాళ్ళు కేర్ ఇండియా CJWS మా గ్రామస్తులు అందరూ కలిసి మాట్లాడుకొని జీవనోపాధుల కొరకు విద్యా కార్యక్రమంలో నన్ను ఫెసిలిటేటర్గా ఎన్నుకోవడం జరిగింది. ట్రైనింగ్ తీసుకొని వచ్చిన తర్వాత మా ఊరి జీవనోపాధుల కొరకు విద్యా కార్యక్రమం సెంటర్లో 30 మంది స్త్రీలకు చదువు నేర్పించడం మొదలుపెట్టాము. వీక్లీ గైడ్ సహాయంతో ఆటలు పాటలు చుట్టుపక్కల దొరికే పొల్లలు రాళ్ళు ఆకులు ద్వారా చదువు ఇంట్రెస్ట్గా నేర్పించడం జరిగింది. ఈ కార్యక్రమంలో పనిచేయడం ద్వారా నేను చాలా కొత్త విషయాలు నేర్చుకున్నాను. మా గ్రామంలో ఉన్న నిరక్షరాస్యులను అక్షరాస్యులుగా తీర్చిదిద్దినందుకు నాకు చాలా గర్వంగా ఉంది. నాకు ఈ అవకాశం ఇచ్చిన కేర్ సంస్థ వారికి CJWS సంస్థ వారికి నేను కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలియజేసుకుంటున్నాను.
CARE supports the partner NGOs with funding, HR and admin cost, program cost, and some amount for capacity building of field staff at the NGO level. Other centralized costs are borne by CARE, such as facilitators training, material development, workshops, curriculum development, etc. The technical supports such as phase-wise facilitators training, TOT of project staff, curriculum and TLM development workshops, milestones and monitoring related workshops are organized by CARE.
Education for Livelihoods project was started as an action research. The project involves lot of locally available materials, even stones, leaves or local poems and stories that are often used by our community members to teach the learners in a much simpler way. The curriculum itself is locally generated by involving all the stakeholders, those are involved in this project. The curriculum is converted into simplified weekly guides which helps our facilitators do day-to-day activities and achieve the objectives of the curriculum at the center level. Our facilitators are periodically given training to how to use the locally available materials to meet the objectives of the weekly guide. Our curriculum has spiral approach wherein objectives are repeated in order to register new concepts to our new literates. All our partners have been supporting us in a great manner to adopt these methodologies in order to make this program a good success.
Even on day-to-day basis, CARE supports E4L implementation by having its field teams presence in each district. As part of monitoring, learning and development, the project has mechanisms such as inbuilt fortnightly milestones report, classroom observation tool, collection of case studies and good practices, fortnightly monthly review meetings, and interactive MIS. After every 2 weekly guides, there are certain competencies to be achieved by learners to move on to the next level. These fortnightly milestones also help facilitators to assess the levels of individual learners and support accordingly. Classroom Observation Tool is a color-coded tool that enables the supervisor PC to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the facilitator and plan accordingly for the support and further capacity building.
The Education for Livelihood component focuses on monitoring the core competency of the learner, which is achieved at the end of the training course, essentially looking at the learning outcomes and the level at which the learner has achieved the learning outcome. It also looks at the attendance of the learner and the process by which the facilitator is delivering the module and the learner is participating at the learning center. At the end of the completion of 2 weekly guides, that is at the end of every fortnight, the learner is assessed on the milestones which they are supposed to have exhibited after undergoing the learning course for the 2 months.
In order to support facilitators in performing better at the centers, fortnightly facilitators review meetings are planned. The issues and action plans at center levels are discussed during this meet. The VAC too contributes in regular monitoring. There is a provision for an inbuilt small library in the learning center. Some of the broad categories of books are related to livelihoods and entrepreneurship, health and hygiene, right and entitlements, personality development, and cooking related. These books are very simple and used as TLM for weekly guide objectives. There are 3 phases in each E4L project cycle. Facilitators are trained on E4L curriculum, weekly guides, TLM, and methodologies periodically. Projects are an integral component of E4L weekly guides, wherein the scope is provided to apply what is learnt in numeracy and literacy. This also facilitates learners to move out of the center and meet various stakeholders to complete the project and thereby improve their interpersonal skills, skills of inquiry, etc.
நானும் என் கணவரும் மீன் பிடிக்க தொழில் போவோம். நாங்கள் வாழ்வாதார கல்வியில் படிச்சிருக்கோம். அங்கே படித்தது எனக்கு ரொம்ப உகயமாக இருக்குது. எங்கள் குழு பேர் முத்துமாரியம்மன். நாங்கள் கோழி பண்ணை வேலை செய்கிறோம். நாங்கள் எருவு கிண்டுவோம். எருவு கிண்டுட்டு தண்ணி வைப்போம். தண்ணி வச்சுட்டு தீவனம் வைப்போம். இந்த குழுவில் நல்லா சொல்லி தந்ததுனால தீவனம் எடை கணக்கு போட்டு நல்லா செய்ய தெரியுது.
The curriculum for E4L was developed keeping in mind the context and need of the community learners. While generating the curriculum, we also involved the community representatives along with NGO partners. Either CARE or other NGO programs are linked for convergence with E4L learners. This is to ensure that learned skills get an opportunity to apply and get benefit out of it, as the name goes, education for livelihoods.
After relief and restoration, CARE India and local partners and some research institutions did need assessment. We found lot of gaps in literacy and numeracy and awareness among our people. With this idea, CARE India and its partner NGO initiated Education for Livelihood Learning Center in the livelihood villages. For example, in our craft fattening project, our learners are weighing the crab, counting the crab, and grading the crab, recording in their notebooks and calculating their income and expenditures.
There are a few key challenges on the way to achieve the objectives of the project. The lack of regular attendance due to the work schedule of the learners, tiredness they have after returning from their work, non-cooperation at family level, lack of interest, shyness to come, etc. are some of the challenges we had to face to deliver the project objectives. However, these are addressed at various levels and different strategies are followed to curtail the impact of these issues on the learners.
நாங்க மக்களை போய் சந்திக்கிற முறை எப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா முதல்ல வில்லேஜ் தலைவரை போய் பார்ப்போம். அதுக்கப்புறம் சுய உதவி குழு, இளைஞர் குழுக்கள், ஊராட்சி மன்ற தலைவர்கள் இவர்கள் எல்லாத்தையும் போய் சந்திச்சு அவங்களோட ஒத்துழைப்பையும் ஒப்பந்தத்தையும் பெற்று அதன் மூலம் இந்த திட்டத்தை சிறப்பாக நடத்தி கொண்டு இருக்கிறோம். அவர்களுக்கு வில்லேஜ் அட்வைசரி கமிட்டி என்று ஒரு குழுவை அமைத்து அந்த குழுவின் மூலம் இந்த திட்டத்தை கண்காணிக்க ஏற்பாடு செய்து அதன் மூலம் கண்காணித்து சிறப்பாக நடத்தி கொண்டு வருகிறோம். மாதத்துக்கு 2 முறை 10 வாழ்வாதார கல்வி மையங்களுக்கும் சென்று ஆசிரியர்களுக்கு தேவையான உதவிகளை செய்து வருகிறேன். அதாவது வருகை பதிவேடு குறைவாக இருந்தால் ஆசிரியர்களோடு மாணவிகளை சென்று சந்தித்து அவர்கள் தினந்தோறும் வகுப்பிற்கு வர துணை புரிகிறேன். மேலும் ஆசிரியர்கள் பாடத்திட்டங்களில் அவ்வப்போது எழுப்பும் சந்தேகங்களை தீர்த்து வைத்து அவர்கள் சிறப்பாக மாணவிகளுக்கு பாடம் நடத்த துணை புரிந்து வருகிறேன். அவ்வாறு மையங்களிலிருந்து சேகரித்த தகவல்களை ஆய்வு செய்து அறிக்கையாக்கி ஒவ்வொரு மாதமும் அதனை நிறுவனத்தோடு பகிர்ந்து கொள்கிறேன். இந்த அறிக்கையின் மூலம் தெரிய வரும் மைய அளவிலான சவால்களை அவ்வப்போது நிவர்த்தி செய்ய வழிவகை செய்கிறோம்.
E4L has certain key competencies to be achieved at the end of the course, which is equivalent to the third standard competency of Indian schools, such as number identification, simple mathematical operations, shapes and units of measurements in numeracy, and writing simple sentences, reading, comprehending a text, expressing views logically, sequentially, speaking for a while on a given topic in literacy are the basic core competencies. Milestone reports direct us towards these competencies on a fortnightly basis. About 55% to 60% of learners are able to satisfactorily achieve these competencies. Apart from these literacy and numeracy related competencies, E4L also targets to improve their general awareness levels, bettering health and hygiene practices, creating awareness on rights and entitlements, and preparing women for efficiency in livelihoods.
నేను టైలర్ పని చేస్తున్నాను. నేను ఇక్కడ సంస్థల్లో ఇక్కడ జీవనోపాధికై విద్య అని ఒక స్కూల్ పెట్టారు. దాంట్లో బడికి నైట్ అప్పుడు వెళ్ళి చదువుకొని నా టైలరింగ్ వృత్తిలో కొలతలు, పేర్లు, డేట్లు, కొలతలు ఎన్ని రాసుకునే దానికి ఉపయోగపడింది. అందుకే అదే కాకుండా హెల్త్ వాలంటీర్గా కూడా నన్ను చేర్చుకున్నారు. దీంట్లో చేయడం వల్ల ఎక్కడికైనా మీటింగ్లకు వెళ్ళినప్పుడు ఇక్కడ నేర్చుకున్నాను కాబట్టి కొంచెం మాటలు వచ్చి అక్కడ మీటింగ్కి పోతే మాట్లాడగలుగుతున్నాను. అదే కాకుండా పొదుపు సంఘాల్లో లెక్కలు ఎలా రాయడం కూడా నేర్చుకున్నాము ఈ బడి వల్ల. నా అభివృద్ధికి ఈ విధంగా చదువు చెప్పి నేర్చుకోవటం వల్ల నేను చైతన్య ఈ కేర్ సంస్థ చైతన్య జ్యోతి సంస్థకి ధన్యవాదాలు తెలుపుకుంటున్నాము.
Empowerment is not just providing with equipments, grants, loans and some training for livelihoods, but also to provide skills for prudent, efficient and profitable utilization of those in order to touch the empowerment. We believe E4L imparts those skills.